Picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
Good morning. It's a new week. It's a new project, and I am in my happy place because of what you see in front of you. Yes, few of you guessed it. It was no big secret. It is the new Enterprise. Enterprise from Discovery and its own forthcoming series if we ever get back to new television. But here's where we're going to start. And before you even get on your high horse or get started about anything on this, here is my mission statement. My 5-year mission statement, my boldly going mission statement. I am not building this with any intent of using the lighting kit or the decals. Now, I'll be using the register decals that come with the kit, but I will not be using the Aztek decals. Why, you ask? Well, because I'm a painter. I am not a wallpaperer. I prefer to use my own colors, thank you very much, and it's just not something that you get when you are using wallpaper decals. But what I am going to be doing is, I didn't say I wouldn't be lighting it. What I said is I'm not using the lighting kit. I'm not going to be spinning the inner nacelles. I will be building 1,000 of these before I, step my foot into the grave. This is only the first one, and like the first time you see a blockbuster movie, and like I've seen movies, hundreds of times, and the first time you go to see it just to get the impression of it, get the overall feel of it. And then when you go back to it, you go back to see the pacing, the characterization, the Easter eggs, all that kind of stuff. This is just to get the first build out of my system, and to also come up with some painting templates for it. And these painting templates will be made available for folks who are not using the decals. They're not using the wallpaper decals, and not everybody wants to. So there, So stepping into it, knowing that in advance, this paint scheme is going to be simpler than what you can get if you use the decals. The decals have that obnoxious little very fine white line detailing in there, pinstriping, that has become the house standard for the Discovery line of ships. Discovery has it, Shenzhou had it, the Enterprise has it. I'm not a big fan of it. I think it's overly busy. I don't think it's necessary. I think it's, to quote the president of the Federation, just because you can do a thing does not mean you should have to do a thing. I think it's gaudy and it's overdone. So I'll be doing something much simpler. Basically, I will be down to three or four colors with some accents here or there. My main body color is going to be sky gray. My darker accent color is going to be Lynn gray, and then I will be using gunmetal on some of the, you'll see where I'm going to use the gunmetal. And you ask, why aren't you using metallics? Well, because I'm after battling that ET ship, I have done with metallics for a while, and I don't think you need metallics to do an effective paint job. I think metallic, if you do a regular paint job and you put metallic accents on it, I think it can show up so much better and give you a better pop than if the whole bloody thing is metallic. So that's my rationale. I'm sticking with it, at least on this first build. If I do, one down the road, I may do one of these with the Aztek decals and the lighting kit just to show what that looks like when you follow all the bells and whistles. I will be painting my own clear parts for this kit as an example. I will be not be using the lighting kit clear parts. So what we have is the parts laid out. You can't even see them all. They won't even all fit in screen. Here's the top of the saucer and the bottom of the saucer. What I have already done is I've taken the parts off of the trees, most of them, the big ones, and I've cleaned them up, and I have put a coat of gray primer on them. So we're all at the stage where we're ready to start painting. Okay, we're ready to start laying some paint down. Now the first thing we're going to paint is the darkest thing on the entire ship, and that is from what I've been able to tell. The darkest thing on this entire ship are the insides of these triangles, and you will recognize those as homages to the classic Enterprise triangles that were up here that I believe legend tells they were covers for landing gear. Now I don't know how much faith to put into that. I know it could be urban legend at this point, but these were meant to be landing gear covers. And on the classic Enterprise, they were flush with the top of the ship, but they were painted a different color. Here, I don't know if they serve the same function, but they are indented, which is great because that means we can paint them, paint the indents, and then cover them, which is what we're going to do. I'm going to spray some German gray into these areas, and then we're going to cover them with a mask and then go over the next layer of masking. And I've discovered something really neat about the windows here. If you use the method that I am purporting, you don't need to mask any of these windows, because this whole area right here is the darker gray. It is going to be the IJN gray. There's a stripe here that's gray, and then this whole area is gray. So we're going to paint that before we insert the windows, and then we're going to mask that whole circle so we don't have to mask each individual window. You'll see it when we get to it, but it's quite a time saver. So let's go ahead and throw some German gray in the brush and take care of these two bits. I don't think there are any other parts of the ship that are as dark. Now there's a lot of banding here on the nacelles that you could conceivably say is that color, but I'm treating those as gunmetal. Anywhere that there's a grill or a series of lines, I'm going to treat those as gunmetal and then possibly put a black wash over them. So, okay, like I said, hardly an auspicious start, but just to let you know we are off to the races. We're going to let that dry and then we're going to mask it. So right now I am checking the fit on some other masks and doing a bit of refining, and then we will get on to the first main painting, which will be the darker gray, which all of these stripes on the saucer are that darker gray, which again is IJN gray. These are all Tamiya's because Tamiya's are what I have the easiest access to. Given the choice of all perfect worlds, I may not use Tamiya's, but I can get my hands on it, and that's what matters. Okay, before we shut down for the evening, I want to paint the darker, the IJN gray. Yeah, IJN gray on the saucer, and perhaps maybe even get the gunmetal on the pylons. Ooh, that'd be fun. And also get the IGN gray here on secondary hull. So just cleaning off the masks that I had used for sizing, now that I'm happy with how they all look. And this will be the first step before we even put the windows in. So let's take these apart. There are 3 concentric circles on the top of the saucer. There's one here, there's one here, there's one out there. There's also a set of marking that is reminiscent to the pilot/Pike Enterprise from the original series that goes right there. So in this area I also want to paint, and also there's strips back here. Well, you'll see it all. I'm going to go ahead and do that now, and that'll show you the areas that I am contemplating the darker colors for. Okay, you can see I've got the areas masked out for the darker gray stripes, concentric circles, and these shapes back here on the top of the saucer. And on the secondary hull, there's a shape here and a shape there. And the lower hull, the lower saucer, I've gone ahead and masked off those deepest, blackest, even though they aren't quite black, I think that were German gray, right? Yeah, German gray triangles. So now there's a circle here or a stripe here on the inside of this, and then this whole area is the darker color. Yeah, I think we've come to a great spot to stop for the evening. I have put the gunmetal onto some accents. Accents there. I have put gunmetal on the accents for the nacelles. I have put gunmetal on the accents for the warp engines themselves and for the pylons, and also for the rear engine caps. And I've put the gray, the darkest gray, on the saucer and on the secondary hull and on bottom of the saucer. Also, there is a silver accent here that I went ahead and put silver on, that I am hoping I may have to redo that gray where I think the silver splashed over into it. Welcome back. It's Tuesday, where we're going to do some by gum and by golly model building today. All of what I painted yesterday has had the evening to dry, so we are in good place now to go on to step 2. And step 2 is going to be putting in a lot of the clear window inserts. We're going to start that process today. I am trying to gather my parts around me and see where we're at. And then once we've got the window inserts in, we can mask said inserts and get ready to paint and put some lighting in. Now, this isn't going to be this video isn't about how to light your Enterprise. This is going to be how to paint it. So the lighting that you're going to see is incidental, may not be explained very well, but we'll go from there. Let's see. Where do we start? We need to pick apart. We can't start with the pylons because you can't put the pylons together until we have built the nacelles. So you got to think backwards in some cases. So what can we do? What can't we do? What can we do right now is we can mask the bottom of the saucer. What's keeping me from masking the bottom of the saucer at this point is putting these window inserts in, and I think that's job 1 of what we should do. So I say all of that to say this. Welcome to Tuesday. Here we go. I am investigating this kit as you are. And let's see. Weapon of choice today is going to be the 10X. And I need my little 10X stir. These windows are so tiny and so small and so wee that I am not particularly worried about whether or not they get hazed over, whether they get. Now, I am worried about the dome here, making sure that stays fairly clean. But the little windows themselves don't have much surface to them, so I am not going to cry too much if they get fogged over. So what I've done is I've stuck this insert in, and I am just touching the 10X. Actually, it's not 10X technically, it's in the 10X bottle. It's methyl ethyl ketone. And I am just letting the capillary action pull it in behind or underneath this part. Were I a braver man, I would use a larger brush, but it's not really necessary. Okay, we're gonna. The problem is with as tiny as these windows are, I really want to press that down good so that I know that they are making good connection and they are stuck out as far as possible. I have seen some instances on this kit where I don't know whether you would call it flash or what, but I have gone in with an X-Acto and just opened up some windows that I thought were maybe a little too closed over in the molding process. So we'll push that down, and then we'll get the side windows. Here's the thing, and I'm talking about lighting again. This is going to be very rudimentary, very simple. No circuits, no wazoos, no. It's all going to be off or it's going to be on. There's no blinking, there's no winking, there's no effort to make a Bassard spin. I may put a simple couple of red lights up in there. So when it comes to the navigation lights, these are one piece, and all I'm going to do is glue them in, and then I may just touch the tip here on the outside with the clear red and the clear green to make that light, so that I can make everything work with white LEDs in here. And you know, when it comes time to do the more elaborate version, I will I'm going to do white LEDs in here. I'm going to do red out the I mean simple red out where the impulse engines are. But I'm not going to try to differentiate between the white windows and the red and green marker lights. It's always the toughest thing right there, right next to each other. They want to have a red light, and then right next to it they want to have a white light, and you always have trouble cross-contaminating those two. You either try to use a jacketed fiber optic or something to keep the white light where it needs to be, and the yellow and the green and red lights where they need to be. So it can be difficult sometimes. I need to go ahead and glue in the impulse engines. Now these impulse engines will be masked off, but it's easier to work with those kind of once they're in place to mask those. So easier to put them in and then mask them than it is to try to mask them first. There you go. Okay, so I'm just going to continue around and put in all the window inserts. Okay, so I've got all the windows in the bottom of the saucer, and I got to tell you, I don't know the genius's name who did it. I'm sure the origins of this practice are shrouded in antiquity. I think the first time I saw it was on the NX-01, the 350 scale, about what, 16, 17 years ago, where they would repeat the clear insert number on the hull right where the window would go. Wherever that insert would go, they repeat the part number. That is genius. It takes next to no time in the design process, I'm sure. It doesn't take, you know, an infinitesimal amount of plastic. I don't know how much time it takes to grind that into the tooling, but it is well worth it when you have something as simple. It's just these little strokes of genius that, like I said, I think Bandai kits do it as well, but it is those little simple things that make life so much easy. Now, top saucer only has one clear insert, but it's a doozy. It's this big guy. So, you know, I took a couple extra seconds. I'm not too proud to admit, and I just went through with the edge of the file here, and I just ever so slightly enlarged these holes, because this is where the big important light is coming through. And like I said, I don't know whether it's flash from the molding or what, but this was something I noticed when I did the 2500 kit of the Enterprise, that this big arc light where the light comes out and shines on the registry, it's a big deal. It's important. It's a signature piece. So I want to make sure that it's as cleaned out as possible and as prominent as one can make it. I am not artificially enlarging it, but I am, you know, taking X-Acto and cleaning out this edge so that it gets its best chance to shine, literally. Now, I've also scuffed up the inside here to make sure this gets a good bond here, because you got to really poke it in like 4 or 5 different angles and make sure that you are, you know, dead tight against that, so that you can maximize the amount of light shining out through here. So we've got that all pushed into place. It's tight up against here. I think it would well be worth the time to put a couple of clamps on there, but I don't have a clamp that's got that deep a throat on it, so I may have to do it by hand. Is regular MEK going to be good enough? Here you have a case where you do have 2 big windows that you don't want to have crazed up or hazed up by CA. So yeah, I'm just going to be very careful with it. Sploosh on a bit of it. I'm going to probably put it on this part to be sure that I'm getting where I want it to be. And I'll probably put a corresponding amount in the part itself. The nice thing about this tiny applicator is it lets you get in and around in between these banks of windows and in between the main dome and the main front window, and underneath and all around and in behind your ears and every place else you're supposed to wash. And then way out here, just a ton of it. I might even use a bigger brush on that if I was of a mind to. And then a heaping helping right on this front edge, because that's the money edge that is going to hold down against the hull and allow that light to shine out on the registry. So I'm not being the least bit stingy with this. Okay, now I'm going to pour out some on here. This stuff evaporates really quickly, so on a surface this big, it may I may have been better off to use something else, but we're going to try this first, see how well she goes. All around the mulberry bush here. And I like how the molding of the part actually has a channel for you to put glue in. They were thinking, these round two people this time around. They were thinking. It only took 50 years to kind of develop a very excellent Enterprise kit. There we go. Okay, so, and here's a thought. Using a roll of tape lets me put this down, and now I can push down on this and it sits inside a base. It's not like you're putting undue pressure on this dome by pushing it down, because your pressure is distributed around the outside edge here. Now I'm going to do the old capillary action here around the edge of this part. We're going to see how well this, see, I am going to hold that up against the edge of, okay, well, nothing more thrilling than watching glue dry, so, or cure, so I'll be right back. Alrighty, I've got all of the clear parts glued in. That includes the windows on the secondary hull, as well as the little highlights on the nacelles that will light up this area, and the registry. I don't know how they're going to light up the registry. That's just a tiny little barest indication. That's basically a light leak. What normal modelers would consider a light leak, they're calling a lit feature. So we're going to let all this stuff dry. Let the glue cure. Let me go to get some lunch, and then I'm going to start thinking about the very, very basic wiring that needs to get done. Then we can start masking these clear parts off and painting them. And I tell you, I'm not looking forward to it, but I gotta mask each one of those tiny little, there you can see them, those tiny little ovals. Alrighty, so as you can see by how dirty the desk is getting, I'm starting to drag out my lighting. Now, again, I didn't say this is not going to be about lighting, but I do need to put some lighting in to explain why we have to mask certain things off. So what I'm going to do now is, because I'm starting to handle these and scuff up to paint and generally abuse things, I need to start putting these masks on to protect these dark gray that I put on yesterday. And also, it did take a minute or two, but those are the masks that went on the back of the warp engines, back of the nacelles, so that you can shine a light through there, then making that a clear part. You know, I would have been happier had they made this an opaque part with a clear insert that you could have masked off. I think that might have been a smarter way to go, but I am currently not employed by Round 2, so they don't care what I think. I am putting the masks over the top of the saucer, and I come up with a method of doing these domes. I don't know how clear it is in the instructions, so I'll go over it here. Basically what I've done is I make a circle, and I've got this curved cutout in it. And what you do is you start with the end that has the point on it. That would be this end here that has the point on it. And you start by pushing that down into the outer edge of the recess where the mask goes. And you line up the outer edge of this circle with the outer edge of the mask. You see, you start putting the point down, and then you work your way around, and now it's going to give you a funky dome shape because you're trying to put a mask over a compound curve. So basically, that's why there's no center in it. That's what takes up the slack. Okay, and then by the time you've done all this, it's going to overlap on itself, and you end up with a mask that looks like that is seated around the outer edge, but sticks up in the top, and then you can just push it down, and then there's a little bit in the center of the mask that you can use as the to close the hole over. But that's basically why there's a weird little circular or curved cutout in the mask. And so there you go. Yes, I on the bottom, something similar. But here's the thing: since this whole area is darker gray, there's one big mask that covers this whole area, and again, it's got a two-parter with a cutout and all that. But the added bonus is it masks all of these windows. All of the windows in the bottom of the saucer, except for the ones around the edge on the rim, all of the windows are inside of that shape. So you don't have to mask them individually. You put one mask that covers the color, it also masks all the windows at one time. Now you've got this bottom sensor dome here that all I do, because it's a weird compound funky shape, is, now that you've got that other area masked, I just take some painter's tape, and you don't have to be too dainty or gentle about it. You can just cover it up with tape and you're done. Painter's tape does conform to contours a lot better than the vinyl because it's so much thinner. But there you go. And the work continues. Continuing the masking on the lower hull. Getting ready to do the windows, but before I did that, I wanted you to see the masking done on this stripe here, which is that silver bit of sensor band. Just some nice thin curved lines here to help mask those indented bits off. And all I have to do now is the actual windows, although I'm thinking that I probably want to wait to do those until I've joined the top and the bottom hulls together, and then I can mask those windows. Let me see, I need to mask the impulse engines, and now see, I did mask the windows on the top of the saucer. That's ready to go. So it's tedious. It takes a while, but it's, when you've got pre-cut masks that are already curved for you, it is a lot easier to go through than it is to try to cut tiny pieces of painter's tape. All right, and what I forgot to mention this, so I'll pop it in here. Just like I did with this, there are these two little fins that stick up through the masking here, and all I'm going to do to cover those up is just take a little bit of painter's tape here and quickly cover those up. They don't have to be pretty, they just have to be blocked from the paint, and that's easy enough to do once you've got the masking around them. So we'll just take care of those. Just make sure that the mask that you put down doesn't hang out over top of the vinyl masking that you work so carefully to put down. Okay, so at this point, this saucer top is ready to have the lighter coat of paint put on it, but that's really not what I want to do right now. What I want to do is just make this safe to handle so that I can do the wiring in here that I want to do. And the top of the saucer doesn't get all that much wiring. It's most of the wiring lives down in the bottom here. What part I do want to take care of is just this little area here that shines out through the front. Okay, I'm putting the masks in the potato peelers, the affectionately termed potato peelers, the pylons. Now you'll notice they don't quite fill up the areas that they're meant to go in, and I pondered that, and I'm thinking, well, you know, do I need to fix that? Is it something that needs fixing? Really it doesn't, because, and here's why, I'm going to tell you how I'm going to do this. I've sprayed the gunmetal in there. I am masking over the top of the gunmetal, and when this is all put together, this will be painted the light hull color. And then what I'm going to do, just like I'm going to do with all of the rest of the gunmetal on the ship, I am going to take some black wash and put black wash just lightly around the gunmetal to accent that, and that's going to fill in this area between the mask and the rest of the hull. So I'm not concerned that the mask doesn't exactly spell out to the exact edges. Okay, here's a minute to have some fun. I've been masking all of these clear parts off. I masked the clear parts in the inside of the warp nacelles, but that doesn't mean we can't paint them. We're going to open this up. We're going to paint them from the inside. Now, yes, I'm going to use blue LEDs. I think I've got some blue strip light LEDs. I think I do. Let me see if I've got enough here. Let me find a battery. Oh, this one's attached. It's already attached to something. Okay, let's pull that off. And there you go. Now see, here we got a nice little strip of blue. And I'm going to lay that strip of blue right across here, just on the inside. Now you've got all kinds of masking on here on the outside blocking that. I probably should have taken time to do this before I put the masks down, but what I'm going to do is just paint the inside of that blue with some clear blue Tamiya, and catch a couple of these other spots with it. But I think that's going to look just peachy. Okay, I'm starting to play with the lighting, and I've got a headroom problem. Not a max headroom. Well, actually, it is a max headroom problem, because the max headroom I have in here is thick enough. The saucer is thick enough without getting into SM LEDs. Not even interested in that this time. I can lay a 5mm down sideways. I mean, just because I'm not using the round 2 lighting kit does not mean I am too proud to use their standoffs here and their stanchions. That, believe it or not, is not as tall as trying to stand up a, if I try to stand up a strip of strip LEDs, which is what I was preferring to use. But if I stand those up, the saucer does not quite fit down over top of it. So I may end up, even just in the saucer, I may end up using 5mm regular LED bulbs. Morning folks, it's Wednesday. We are going to be doing some wiring today. I spent a lot of time yesterday noodling things out, and I think I've come up with a plan of attack, and what I want to do today is waste no time but to get down to it. Goal is to have the nacelles and pylons at least sealed up today. Let's see how it's going to go. Now here is my thinking for the nacelles. If I could find, see, I did all this and I wasn't even ready. There's the other half. It's messy here, that's why I need to clean up and only deal with the exact elements that I am working with. So last night before I turned in, I orange coated the front of the nacelles, so those are ready to go. Here is, well, you can't really tell because I've got masking over the blue areas, but I've got Let me see if I can power this up. Okay, I've got one red bulb in there. Nothing great. No great shakes about that. With an orange bulb over it, it looks a little bit nicer with the orange top. And then with the traditional fiber fill inside the orange cap. Getting the stray hairs to settle down is the tough part of this. Always is. And then tuck that over the top. You get a much better diffused light. Now the camera is going to make a hot spot out of that, but trust me, it is looking a whole lot better. So we've got that. The goal for me is to make a single light bar that will basically look like this. It's the blue light bar here. It will have a blue bulb sticking out of the back to light the rear nacelle, and the red bulb sticking out of the front to do what that's doing. I have yet to figure out how best to incorporate the other blue light. There's a blue light here that should shine out of these little grill openings, and I don't know if I'm going to put too much energy into that for this build, because this is, like I said, a painting build more than it is a lighting build. Also, these guys, I'm not going to try to light these guys. If any light comes out, it will be because of a light leak. Okay, we've got some first results on the starboard pylon, the starboard warp engine. You can see the lights lining up in there very nicely, and that, and all coming out of one set of wires to the bottom. And now we're going to go ahead and do the port side, and see if I can find my circuit board. Where did it go? I had it here just a minute ago. Here it is. I just need to attach it down to this piece of plastic, but basically you have the front red bulb, and you have the strip lights, and then you have a blue bulb attached to the end of the strip. Okay, now that I've had my jollies here, I have time to close these vents back up with the masks so that I can spray this. Now, one last thing I need to do is I'm going to... This is how well this thing is made. There's no glue holding the right and left half of this nacelle together. It's only held together by the dome up front and by the friction fit. So what I need to do is to close this up and sand this seam. But to do that, I want to make sure these are covered up. Alrighty, I have moved away from the nacelles while they dry, and I am working on the lights that go up in here in this ugly little circuit. Not much to look at, but it does the job. Let me pull it out here. There you go. I'm just going to hot glue that in place. Okay, so we are looking for a place to stop for today, and I've got the wiring. I've got the bulbs glued down, or hot glued down, and kind of got the wires chased around. All I need to do is wire those up tomorrow, and we should be ready to hopefully close the ship up tomorrow. Got this much done on one side, got this much done on the other side. Put two sides together, you're mostly done with the secondary hull. I got to do one little quick loop of strip lighting in there to light the secondary hull, but that's darn close to being finished as well. So yeah, a goodly amount of chunk of work to do. We got a good amount of it done today. That's what I was trying to say. I don't know whether I showed you this, but I will again in case you hadn't seen it. And that's not the right polarity. So I'll try this again. There we go. And that is the impulse lights lit up. So those are good to go. Okay, and that's it for the evening. We'll see you again tomorrow. Alrighty, it is, I don't know whether I've told you yet or not, today's Thursday. It's the gateway of the weekend. And making great strides here on buttoning up the saucer. Just cleaning up a little bit, hope you don't mind. Didn't know company was coming over. all of these bulbs, yes, they are way large. If I were going to do this again, which I will be, but I mean, you could redo this whole thing with SM LEDs and you would have a lot more room. But the mission statement that I'm working on is I'm working with what I've got on hand. I'm not ordering anything. I'm not, like I said, I'm not special ordering anything. If I don't have it here within arm's reach, I am not using it. So that necessitates a lot of bigger bulbs than maybe I would normally use. But, you know, I've got room for it. What the hey? It's not killing anybody. But here we go. We've got all of our bulbs in. We've got our 3 up here for the main registry light. We've got a what they used to call it, a metric crap ton of bulbs down here in the saucer. And I would normally use strip lighting in a situation like this. The strip lights are just ever so much too thick. The strip itself is too fat to sit in between, to sit upright in between the top and bottom saucers. Were I to order some, I would order the thinner, the strip lights that aren't quite so wide. Those would work a treat. I was able to angle some strip lights just in for the impulse engines, but they would not have worked for the entire lighting of the windows. So let me pop all of this down together, see how it looks. Now we might have some light leaks to address, and I'm going to be using some of the metallic tape to do that. But I just want to see if I can pop this top on. Come on. I know that they're all in there somewhere. There we go. Okay. Yes, all of my rim lights look really good. There will be some light blocking I need to do around the impulse deck, but yeah. I think what I was more concerned about more than anything else was light leaks through the top and bottom, and let me turn off the lights here. Yeah, you can see some. I've got light leaks there. Those 4 are about the worst in the light leaks, but I think I can take care of the top of that with some clear tape, or this stuff, you know, the metallic tape. I can take care of that, and I think the rest of it I can handle with just coats of paint. But that's looking good. I have an issue. I have a question. I have an issue. The top window here is so big and so clear. I hope Paul decides to make a photo etch bridge. That would be really nice. But I could see straight down into there, so I have to question whether or not it would be better to frost that, or to put so you can see like right straight into there. I could frost that, or I could just put a piece of white, real thin sheet styrene in there and just diffuse it with that. So I need to see how that's going to look, and I probably have to do the same thing for the bottom bulb as well. Okay, first you'll have to pardon the sound of commerce in the background, but I had an order come in yesterday that I want very much to get out in the next day or so. So I've come up to this this quandary, this burning question, this lingering burning question. Should I tint that from the inside? I don't know if I like that. I mean, I put a block on there so you don't see the bulb. But I'm wondering if I put a light blue tint on that, would that be fun, or would that be too much? I think I might just want to leave it that whitish. There's going to be enough color going on here. I think that I can. I'll have to go check some video reference. Looks like the consensus was leave it white, so that's what I'm going to do. Now I just need to mask it back over so that I can get on with the painting of this. Alrighty, and what has become a tradition around these parts is the annual, or weekly in some cases, clamping of the saucer. And yes, I have all the glue shoveled in there. I've got every clamp I got. No, that's not even half true. Got all the clamps I have in one container. I've stuck on here, and I'm going to let this sit for a good long while I have some lunch. Chinese today, I think. Well, as the sun sinks slowly into the west, it's time to wrap up for today. And I got quite a bit done. We got the saucer closed up. That's ready to go. This is the big news. Let me see if I can hook some power to it and light it up for you. It is probably the simplest lighting rig I've ever made. It is, if I can find the clips, here it is. It is one long circuit in both warp engines, and then one strip light that is doubled back on itself for the lights down the center. And let's see, I'll have to forgive the ramshackle nature, but there you go. Turn that off. There you can see the windows. Nice. And we're ready to attach the saucer tomorrow, close this all up, and maybe even start painting. Who knows? We'll close it up, mask the windows, and then we'll start going to town on the paint. Well, good morning, everyone. It is Friday. It is the last work day of the week, and we're going to get some assembling done today. In the wee hours this morning, before I turned the camera on, I went ahead and wired up the stand. Big old chunky push button here. Nothing special there. Goes straight into the 9-volt adapter. I'm not gonna, if I've got the possibility to run something powered through a transformer, I'm gonna do that rather than a battery, because you're not stuck with, burned out batteries, and you're not stuck with trying to make room for a battery somewhere. So I can just run a plug out. That's my general preference. Here we've got the work from yesterday. What I've got to do this morning, before I can start any painting whatsoever, is to cover the windows. And I've got a ton of tiny window masks here. And it's just nothing to it but to do it. Just sit there and plunk them out and stick them down. So I'll come back to you once that tedious task is done. And then we'll get on with the top coat painting. And then I've started working on these. And you know what that means. Ooh, that means Azteking, and we'll probably, I don't know if we'll get to that today or not. I would rather do the body painting, get that all done, and do a reassessment at that point to see whether it's worth trying, because I can let it dry over the weekend before I put the Aztecs on. That's what I would prefer to do. I'd rather not rush it just for the sake of getting the video done in time. So, having said all that, let's plunk out and put some windows down. And yeah, that was as much fun as it looked like doing. These windows are tiny. And yes, I did cut them a tiny bit oversized so that they would completely encompass the clear part. Frankly, if I made them any smaller, the amount of adhesive on the back of them would not be sufficient to hold them in place. So, sorry about that, I guess. But I needed to make them just a little bit bigger than the holes they are covering. Okay, everything has had a good chance to dry. Whether it dry or not, it's its own fault. I gave it the chance. What I want to do for the rest of Friday afternoon is to do something nice, big, and showy, and that would be to strip off the masks that I have done, which will show me the dark accents and the hull color. And I don't know if I want to try to do all the windows or not, but at least I want to do some to show you how that's coming along. I can always put them back on, because next week I'm going to put the Aztecs on it, and it shouldn't take but a day or so. So let me strip off as much as I got here, and then we will join the saucer and the secondary hull. We will wire everything up and hook it up to the switch and the power, and it'll be done with the exception of the Aztecing. So let's start the slow and laborious but always rewarding work of taking some of these masks off so that we can see how everything looks. Okay, here we go. Look at the saucer with the masks taken off. Now, I didn't take all of the window masks off. I forgot these two. Let's get these up and finish that. But see, it's just leaving that darker JN gray on there. And I've got an idea how to do the masks that's going to knock down some of this contrast, this high contrast here. But here you go. That's the top of the saucer. That's the bottom of the saucer. And the rim of the saucer. You can see that silver accent, that chrome accent there on the rim. I left some of the windows off. I took some of the big ones off that I can easily replace, like these guys. But I left a lot of the windows on because they're small and such a pain. And I'm going to end up replacing them anyway. I just wanted to take them off to show, just for right now, to show how everything looks without it. So it's not the final by any means. I stabbed myself with the X-Acto, which is nothing new, but I also bled for my art here. I also got little, I just noticed was getting little blood marks on the ship. That's no good. Okay, so that's the saucer. Put the saucer aside. Now we're going to take the big masks off of the secondary hull and nacelles, leaving a lot of the windows on. Let's see, what do I need? Oh, well, not much. I just need to do it. Start taking some of these off. I just have to watch my finger there that I don't touch it to the ship. And as I've said, I'm perfectly prepared to replace some of these. These are, in the normal state of things, I would leave these on while I am finishing the painting. But because I want to have something big and showy for the video this week, at the to wrap up the video, I can go ahead and take these off and not be worried about having to go run out and buy another set, because I make the bloody things. I can just quickly whip up another set to replace what I want to replace, because I want you to see all of this sexy lighting. Okay, and there's still a lot of little accent pieces that need to be painted, like the caps on the end of the nacelles and the intercoolers, things like that. I'm sure that there is a detail color in there. Okay, here you go, with the understanding that the window masks are still in place by and large, because I want to avoid having to put those on again. And the nacelles do not have any fiberfill in them to diffuse the light. I present to you the Pike Enterprise. A-bang. And I will go ahead and, let me see, I got some paint on these tiny marker lights because they were too small to put masks on. But that one's showing up real nice. Let me darken the room down a bit. There you go. There's nice and dark. When you don't want the sun to be shining, of course it's out all day long. There you go. The light I was most afraid of, which is this one, is shining up a treat. I've got the bridge lights diffused. Right there you can see the mighty warp engines. Again, the windows are closed over. That's what you're seeing is light leak through the tape. I'm seeing some light leaks here. Here that I need to address. Something I didn't really see when I was putting the strips in. That's kind of a nice, let's see, things aren't glued down yet, and that's why we're having problems. The impulse engines are looking good. Might want to put another coat of paint over the back end of the cells here. I don't want to take off of those tiny lights. So I can see where there's still room to grow. It's still got stuff that needs to get done on it yet. Like I said, I'm just putting this together to have something to show off for the end of the week's video. Okay, but nice. See if I can see underneath the front of the saucer. I knew it was going to be problematic because of it not being glued down to the base, but there you go. That's looking pretty good. I am also seeing the blue light. Oh, let me see if I can pull this mask off here. I'm seeing the blue light here up on the nacelle that I like. There you go. I'm seeing the blue lights there. Like I said, I did not try to light up the registries. But there you go. I think that's a good halfway mark. That's a good first half. And that's going to do it for the first week of the Enterprise build. And I will try to pull it up here. It's very gingerly sitting on its stand. But there you go. I love this kit. I mean, it's an Enterprise. I'm predisposed to loving Enterprises, but I really like this kit. Now, it only took them 50 years to figure out how to make your pylons interlock with each other so that they depend on each other and are perfectly well supported. These pylons will not warp. Well, ironically, they're supposed to warp. These pylons will not droop, they won't sag. Whether or not it warps is dependent completely on your skills as a chief engineer. But again, mission statement was to not use the decal wallpaper and to not use the lighting kit, and to show you can get perfectly good results both ways. The lighting in here is nothing great. It's a bunch of 5mm clear whites, cool whites, and some strip lighting. You should be able to do that, no problem. I'm trying to block the sunlight coming in from behind me, but I can't resist just lighting it up. It's just so much fun. Everybody is right about this Enterprise when they say, yes, this is the Enterprise that they should have used in the movies. But then we wouldn't have it in the series. So next week we will be continuing. We will be doing Aztecing on this. We will give the body some texture, and then we'll seal it and put the decals on it and do all that. So until then, be good to each other. Wear your masks. Stay safe. Look in on people that might need looked in on, and we'll see you here next time.